Hey, in this episode, I'm going to share with you 3 hot safety tips if you plan on using a diesel heater when camping with your Jeep. So stick around. Hey, welcome to Cheaper Jeeper TV. I'm Dino, your host. Glad to see you here. Now, those of you who are familiar with the channel might recognize this, my DIY diesel heater configuration. I have a video about that. You can check it out. In fact, I have a whole playlist and I'll put a link in the description section if you're interested. But I want to make this a quick video on 3 hot safety tips if you plan on using a diesel heater when camping in your Jeep. Let's get right to it. I'll start with the 3rd one and we'll work our way to number 1. So, number 3, be mindful of the exhaust tube. This would attach to your diesel heater however you have it configured. You might have it in your Gladiator or actually in your Jeep, or you may have it in a box outside your Jeep and you may have it being fed into the Jeep if you sleep in it like I do, or you could have it going into your rooftop tent. But either way, you're going to have an exhaust tube with a muffler on the end, and it attaches to the exhaust port here from the combustion chamber of the diesel heater. Now, you should be mindful of this because this is the hottest point of the diesel heater on the outside of the unit. And if you touch this, you will definitely get burned. Also, be mindful what you have touching this, because whatever this touches, it will burn or set on fire because it is extremely hot. So make sure you have this pointed away from anything that you don't want to get burned, and make sure that you don't touch it. Safety tip number 2 is be sure you do not run out of juice on your battery. You have to make sure that there's enough electricity for your battery to run for the period of time that you want to run your diesel heater. Now, if you ran out of fuel, the unit would go through its shutdown process, which is it'll just power the fan, blowing air over the combustion chamber until everything's cooled down, and then it completely shuts off. However, if you ran out of electricity in your portable power station, the fan would stop blowing air over the combustion chamber to carry the heat exchanged air into your tent. And what would happen is all that hot air would stay in the diesel heater and begin to melt the plastic and the motherboard, because that sits right on the top. And then you would begin to breathe in all the toxic fumes from the melting plastic, and worse, your unit may even catch on fire. The other thing about the battery is you have to make sure that this cable isn't strung out in a way that it can accidentally get pulled out. So you may have lots of juice in your battery, but you accidentally pulled it out of the socket, cutting off the flow of electricity to the heater. And if that happens, same unfortunate result. So make sure that you don't have this going across your legs, and if you turn over in your tent, that this gets pulled out of the battery and that sort of thing. So for tip number 2, you got to make sure that you have enough juice to run the heater for the time that you plan to, and make sure that you don't accidentally pull the plug out of the socket. And finally, safety tip number 1. Be mindful that there's carbon monoxide produced by the combustion of the diesel fuel. And if there's a leak in your diesel heater and that carbon monoxide is pumped into your tent or your Jeep or your camper, you could die. Now, how on earth does that happen? Well, if you look at this image right here, you can see this is the rubber seal that goes around the glow plug to begin to ignite your diesel fuel. Over repeated use of the heater, this will dry over time and possibly crack, and that crack would cause a leak, and then carbon monoxide and other combustion products can get through that crack, and then the fan will blow your fresh air over your heater and take that carbon monoxide and carry it into your tent. And if you breathe in enough of that, it will kill you. Another source for the carbon monoxide is if you look at these seals in the combustion unit itself, those are seals that go between components of the combustion chamber, and a leak can develop there perhaps from repeated cold to hot fluctuations in temperature, or some people take the unit apart to clean it out if it carbons up. But those seals are also known to possibly crack. And now you're saying, holy smokes, that's a pretty dangerous thing. Why would I want to use a heater like this if it can kill me? Well, as bad as that is, you could still avoid those pitfalls. And the way I recommend that you do it is this. You have a carbon monoxide alarm. I'll have a link in the description section to this one. This one has a 10-year battery. It's always on. And so I just know if I use this over the next few years, I just have to have this with me in the Jeep when I'm sleeping and using the heater. And if the carbon monoxide levels get to a certain level, I can't remember exactly what the levels were, but this unit will detect it and then an alarm will go off. And that's when I know, okay, get out of the Jeep, figure out what's going on. But another little device that I use is this. Now this is a carbon monoxide monitor. This will always be on, and it'll only sound an alarm once the levels are up to a certain level over a period of time. Whereas this I have to turn on, and it'll tell me the exact parts per million of carbon monoxide in the air when this is on. And so if there's even a small leak, which may not set the alarm, but I'd be breathing it in, or my loved ones camping with me would be breathing it in, it can cause some pretty serious illness if you're just breathing in even low amounts of carbon monoxide. So the way I use this is when I get into the Jeep and the heater's running, I turn it on and I'll see 0 parts per million. No worries, there's no leak. I can go to sleep. And if something were to happen where there was a leak, the alarm will sound if that was the case. Whenever I feel like checking, I could just turn this on, and if I see 0 parts per million, I know the unit is functioning normally. And I keep this in the Jeep all the time when I have the diesel heater running, because I know the alarm will sound when the parts per million of carbon monoxide is at a certain level for a period of time. So I know this was a really quick video, but I know this winter season is coming up and there's going to be people who are going to be investigating the use of diesel heaters, and I just thought it was important to get these 3 hot safety tips out there. And if you know somebody who's interested in starting to use a diesel heater for their winter camping adventures, make sure you share this video with them so that they make sure they take those 3 safety precautions so that they can enjoy their Jeep and their adventures safely. I hope that you found this video interesting and helpful. If you did, how about giving the video a thumbs up? If you're new to the channel, feel free to hit the subscribe button and the alert bell so you'll be notified when the next video is released. Until the next time, I'm Dino for Cheaper Jeeper TV. Be well, stay safe, take care.